Welcome to Behind the Amish Curtain. I'm Jenny.
My name's Eldon. We're here in Florida enjoying the nice weather. Another beautiful day in paradise. Anyway, so there was another question asked about how do Amish date? What do they look for? How do they know to date? When to date? And all that kind of stuff. So it's been an interesting topic on that even way back when I was dating. And for the most case, I would say back in my time, it was probably close to 80% of the guys would ask another guy to go ask for the girlfriend that you're going to date. Which was, why did they do that? I don't know. It was funny because there would be guys coming up and say, hey, would you go and ask this gal out for me? I'm like, what if I want the same gal,
Oh, yeah.
I want the same chick to, date, but that was kind of the thing that the Amish did.
They were avoiding rejection.
This was in Illinois. Now, there was some of them that were bold and went themselves. And that's how I feel that it should actually be, is that they go, themselves. If you really want to date this girl and you really have a heart for it, then you need to go ask yourself and, just be bold enough to say, hey, this is what I'd like to do. I'd like, to take you out on a date, and it should just be, get to know each other. But too many times it's not just to get to know each other. It's let's say, for an example, we would have, dates on a Saturday night and on a Sunday night. That was the only time that the Amish are allowed to really date until you go steady. And when you go steady is when you are now fully boyfriend and girlfriend. In other words, you now have met and asked all these details as far as what do you want, or who are you, and what do you look for in future, or why do you want me, and just it's a time of sharing, and you get to know each other better. And usually it's in the 6 to 8 week time frame that the Amish would look at it now, or the kids would look at it, that you're now going steady.
Is that when it's made public?
Yeah, it's kind of like public, even though most cases, even though there was 500 plus kids, in most cases you would have the whole community find out if somebody had a date.
But you got to go back to, everybody knows each other anyway, but don't they have gatherings?
Yeah,
and they sort of couple up?
Yes. So there's some events that they have through the week, but you're still not to date, but you get to know that person, or you get to see that person, and then you ask questions. So who is this girl, that just turned 16, and that's usually the time that they will date. And most times the girls won't even accept a date because they're too young. And some of them will say, hey, I just turned 16 and I'm not ready for that, which is good. But then there's some of them that will in a heartbeat, as soon as somebody will ask them, yep, they're right on it. They want to be accepted. They want that date. And that's usually the time frame that everybody starts courting, I guess you'd say, where they will mingle, such as sometimes there's a girls' night out, or where the girls gather at one place on a Saturday night. And then, the boys would find out about it, and then they would go there, and some of them, will have enough courage to ask a girl out on a date, and then they'll stay there for the night. And as they're there for the night, yes, they will sleep together, and yes, the parents are down in the house. There's things that probably take place to where I won't share on here, but I know there's a lot of things that take place that should not be taking place before marriage. However, it does take place among the Amish.
Is that customary, though? The parents know they're up there.
Oh, yeah.
And they know they're in bed together.
Yep.
What's the purpose of that?
If it's their own daughter, if they know that it's their own daughter doing it, then, yeah, if it's their own property, then they are told to come down and sleep on the couch, but most times they'll never find out until later. Like, well, if you're going to date, then you need to come down and sleep on the couch, which is kind of funny too, because you're still sleeping together. You're just not upstairs, and I guess they feel like they have a little bit more control of you when you're downstairs versus being upstairs. But yeah, as far as dating, that's kind of where that starts, and it's all at the age of 16. So when you're not 16, you're not with the youth, the Amish youth. And so dating always has a start of a guy that either flirts with a girl or they have something in common, they can laugh together, and it kind of starts by that. And next thing you know, the guy is asking this girl if she would want to go on a cruise. Is it in a horse and buggy or is it in a car? But most generally it was in a car. Not too apt that they would take off in a horse and buggy and just go drive around, but it has happened, but it's very rare.
So most do participate in Rumspringa and have cars. Most.
Yeah, back in my day it was probably 50-50.
Oh.
But
that's
now
not
it's
most.
Now it's probably most of them have the vehicles. And I would say probably, I'm guessing between 75 and 85% actually go into one singing. And they used to have 3 different singings back in the day when I was running around, when I was with the Amish teens.
And the singings were on certain nights?
They were always on a Sunday night, but there was a singing that if you weren't invited, you were not welcome to come. So, and we always called it the goody goods because they were better than anybody else. So they did not have drinking, they did not have smoking, they did not have cars. These were all good kids that were members of the Amish church. But there's another side to that story, because in that time frame when I was a kid, we would find out that these youth that were better than us were either smoking or drinking, and they just didn't want nobody to find out about it. But it would come out in the church, and then this is how we found out about it, because parents would leak out that, well, this guy got caught drinking beer, and he was in the goody good church. But anyway, so back to the dating thing, that's kind of where it all starts. And they would ask, and some of those, it might just be a couple dates and this is not what they want and we'll move on. But for the most part, we'll continue on. It usually is an every weekend thing. There's some of them that will date maybe 2 times, which is basically 2 weekends, and then they might have a weekend or 2 that is empty, just to kind of like, I'm still deciding what I want to do. But sometimes in that time frame, somebody else will step in and ask for dates, and that girl will be taken away from you, and you wonder why did he do that? But so it's those things that will take place too. But then as they continue to date, so they'll make birthday parties, they'll have special occasions going on through the week, to where they go pick up their girlfriend and then bring them back, either a birthday party at a friend's house, neighbors, whatever. So it gives them an excuse to go see their girlfriend. But if you're not going steady, then you don't do that. You're just at home and you wait till next Saturday night or Sunday night. Sunday night is singing night, and that's where you get to meet a whole bunch of kids. You have pretty much the whole community there. Even though you have 3 different singings at that time, there were still a bunch of kids there, lots of kids.
So if they're starting at a young age of 16 dating, how long do they date? Do they get married very quickly? And
that varies too. Yeah, that varies too. Some get married at the age of 18, and there's some of them that already got married at the age of 16.
Wow.
But it's rare that takes place, but it has happened.
They have to have the parents' permission to do that?
Yeah, usually. So as far as how long will they date, some of them go up to 2 years. I've seen some of them up to 7 years. So it varies, and I think a lot of it has to do with how comfortable the boy feels with the girl. Kind of what's in his heart if he wants to move on. And there's some that are just like, I always felt like they didn't know how to ask to get married. They were just like, so when do I make this move? And when she is happy with me, or whatever. I could never figure that part out on some of those. I'm like, they've been dating for 4 years, and why not get married and live a happy life? But and I don't know how they felt about the whole thing, but I felt like on some of those they just were too bashful or too intimidated to ask. They were afraid if they asked, maybe it's too early, or maybe they'll say no. I don't know.
Fear of rejection. Back to fear. Now we're full circle. Back to fear of rejection.
Anyway, that's kind of part of dating. If a guy has a car, he'll go to the girl's parents. Like if he goes on a Saturday night to pick her up or has a date that night, there again, you would have some of them that feared of going to the parents' house to pick them up with a car, so they waited until they got to a party somewhere that they either called them or wrote a letter saying, hey, I'm going to be at this party, will you be there too? And it gave them time to either call or write another letter back. And so yeah, you had that fear of I guess being rejected because either the parents were on the ministry bench, or they were parents of strict ordinance, commandments, whatever. But yeah, for the most part, eventually as they went steady, they dated 6 to 8 weeks, whatever, they became steady daters. And most times, give it a year, maybe a little bit more, that person or that kid would sell their car because it wanted to get married Amish. So if you want to be Amish, you got to get rid of the shingled haircut, the wristwatch, the mustache, because some kids have a beard and mustache, kind of like I do. So that all has to go. You got to get all cleaned up. Basically, you're cleaning up everything before you become a member, and in order to get married, you have to be a member of the Amish church.
Which means you have to abide by all of the rules. Yes,
you have to abide by all the rules. So if you don't abide with their rules, they can prolong the whole thing of you getting married right away. So that pretty much covers everything as far as dating. And I always say it was a good thing for a person to step up and ask the girl itself, would you want to go out on a date with me? Or can I take you on a date, next weekend? And yeah, I know my first time that I asked, I was literally shaking because I figured, well, the girl's going to say no. But it was totally different. It was totally different. But then there's others that they would never do that. They would never go ask, for a date. They would ask their brother or another friend, guy, or sometimes they even use the girls. So, I don't know, I mean, everybody's different. Not everybody has the ability or the backbone to, hey, face life, It's either yay or nay. So, it's part of life. But it is different than the outside world. It is different than the English world. So, yep, with all that said, hopefully that will answer some questions. And like always, keep smiling. Jesus loves you. We'll speak at you later.
Bye.